I love a good casserole. And they're good really any time of the year. So if you're looking for a good cozy dinner to make for your family, you are in the right place. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm sharing 5 delicious casserole recipes that hopefully you and your family will love. This video is extra special because it's part of a collab hosted by one of my very best friends here on YouTube, Sammi May. Y'all know I love her. I'll have Sammy's channel linked below, along with a playlist full of casserole inspiration. So when you're done watching this video, be sure to check out the rest. Okay y'all, let's get started. This cracked chicken pierogi casserole is so easy to throw together. To begin, in a large bowl, I added 2 of the 15-ounce jars of Alfredo sauce. And you can use any brand you want here, or you can even make some homemade. And I like to add just a tiny bit of water to that jar and shake it up real good. That way I get all that sauce. Next, you're going to add 1 packet of the ranch seasoning mix. And if you want to cook up some bacon and add that in, you can go right ahead. But I'm just adding in one of those 2.5-ounce packages of real bacon pieces. And you're going to need a total of 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, but right now we're only adding in 1/2 cup. You can season this up however you like, but I'm adding in some badia complete. And we can't forget the chicken here. I'm adding in 3 cups of cooked shredded chicken. Now you can give all that a really good stir. I'm using 2 of the 16-ounce packages of frozen pierogies, and you do want to let these thaw out just a little bit before you add them in. And as you can see, mine were not thawed out yet. They were still frozen in the box there and they did not want to come out. Now I have to say, this was not the easiest thing to stir here. So just make sure you get you a big bowl and a big spoon and you'll be good to go. I'm making this in a 9x13 baking dish. And now you're just going to dump in that creamy chicken pierogi mixture. Do y'all cook with pierogis a lot? I don't, but I really need to. And you're just going to do your best to spread it out into an even layer. And by the way, this recipe did come from my girl Sammi, so y'all got to go check her out. Now to finish off this casserole, I'm topping it with 1 cup of shredded cheese. And I did not feel like that was quite enough cheese, so I added a little bit more. You just do what works for you though. Either way, it's going to be delicious. And just to add a little something extra, I sprinkled on some parsley. Now this bakes at 375 for 35 to 45 minutes. Y'all, this was amazing. My husband went crazy over it, and Lacey even loved it too. I served it with some steamed broccoli, but you could also serve it with a side salad. Broccoli is like our favorite go-to side dish. Do y'all have a certain side dish you make pretty often? And now that I think about it, I could have added that broccoli in with the casserole and made it that much easier. You have got to give this one a try. This cheesy smoked sausage and hash brown casserole was one I kind of threw together last minute and I just prayed it came out good, and it did. In a large skillet, I added 1 tablespoon of butter along with 1/2 a diced onion. I sauteed this for just a few minutes until that onion was tender. I'm using 2 of the 14-ounce packages of smoked sausage. I cut them into coins and then cut those in half. And I knew we would like a lot of sausage in here, but if you wanted to stretch it even further, you could totally get away with just 1 package. You're just going to toss that around and let it cook. You're just wanting it to brown up a little bit here. Now you can remove it from the heat, drain the grease, and head over to the counter. And you'll need a very large bowl for this. I was a little nervous about it fitting in the casserole dish. When you're experimenting, you just never know. To that bowl, I added 1 cup of sour cream, along with 1 can of cheddar cheese soup. And if you don't have this, you can use cream of chicken, or cream of mushroom or celery, or whatever you feel like will be good. Next, I added 3/4 cup of milk. I used 2%, About a cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Sharp is really good in here, but you can use whatever you like. I thought the southern style hash browns would be really good in here. They have peppers and onions in them. This is a 28-ounce bag. Mine are diced, but you can also use shredded. Now you're going to add in the sausage and onions. And I really should have drained these, but I thought I could scoop them out without getting all that grease in there, but I don't know what I was thinking. Now you're just going to mix this until it's well combined. And I completely forgot to season it, so I added garlic powder and badia complete. Now I'm having to stir it again to get those seasonings mixed in. I'm using a 9x13 baking dish, and one of y'all asked how many of these baking dishes I have. I have a lot. I really need to get in my cabinets and organize and get rid of some things, but I really don't want to. Got that mixture in there, and thank goodness it fit. Just spread that out, and then you're going to top it with 1 to 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. I'll let you decide how cheesy you want it here. And of course, I added some parsley for color. Now this goes into the oven to bake at 375 for 35 to 45 minutes. This was absolutely delicious. I'll definitely be making it again. By the way, what types of meats do y'all prefer? Do you like chicken more, or ground beef, or maybe sausage or smoked sausage? We use chicken the most. And y'all know something I don't typically use a lot of is chicken thighs. I love them, and I need to start cooking with them. This casserole was easy to make. It was full of flavor, and we all gave it a 10 out of 10. I just wanted to jump in and say, if you're coming over from the playlist, welcome. My name is Valerie, and I'm so glad you're here. I do lots of easy recipes on my channel, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you get notified of all my future videos. Okay, y'all, back to these casseroles. I think your family's gonna love this chicken Cordon Bleu Rice-A-Roni casserole. I'm starting out by cooking up a 5.9 ounce box of Rice-A-Roni according to the directions on the back of the box. I used the chicken and garlic flavor, but you can really use any flavor you think will be good in here. I added 4 tablespoons of butter along with that rice, and I just let that cook for a little bit until it started to brown. Now I'm adding in that seasoning packet along with 2.5 cups of water. I'm going to give that a stir, bring it to a boil, then reduce that heat to a simmer, cover it, and then let it continue to cook for 15 to 20 minutes until that rice is done. By the way, if you're enjoying these easy recipes, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. This rice is done, so I'm going to head over to the counter with it. To a large bowl, you're going to go ahead and add in that cooked Rice-A-Roni. I'm also adding 1 can of cream of chicken soup, and if you want to do cream of celery or cream of mushroom, that's fine too. Now I'm adding 1 cup of sour cream, and if you wanted to make this a little healthier, I'm sure you could use plain Greek yogurt instead. For the seasonings, we're just adding a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Next, you're going to add in 1 tablespoon of the honey mustard dressing, and I'm sure just the regular honey mustard, like the dipping sauce, would be fine. I'm giving all that a really good stir before I add in the rest. Now I'm adding 3 cups of cooked shredded chicken. You can also do diced, along with 8 ounces of diced ham. And y'all know we can't forget the cheese. The recipe called for 1.5 cups of shredded Swiss, but I'm using mozzarella. Now you're going to give this one last really good stir. You'll need a 9x13 baking dish for this. I usually try to spray them with nonstick spray, but it looks like I've forgotten to do that here lately. Now you're just going to pour in that mixture. You're going to spread that out into an even layer, and then we're going to make a topping for this. I push that aside. Yes, I'm going to use that same dirty mixing bowl there. Might as well, no reason to dirty up another bowl. I added 4 tablespoons of melted butter and 1 sleeve of Ritz crackers. I'm using my rolling pin to crush them, but you can crush them any way you want to. You're just going to stir that around to get those crackers covered in that butter. And now you're going to sprinkle them evenly on top of that casserole. If you wanted, you could also instead do the French fried onions. Now this goes into the oven to bake, uncovered, at 350 for 30 minutes. This casserole turned out so good, we all loved it. You could also make this ahead of time, and I would do everything except the topping, and then cover it with saran wrap and place it in the refrigerator overnight until you're ready to bake it. This was so good with the ham in here. Sometimes, you know, you just get tired of just chicken, so it was nice to have a little something extra. This is how I like to make baked spaghetti. In a large pan, I added 1 pound of ground beef and half a pound of sausage, along with half a diced onion. I'm just going to break that up and let it cook until it's cooked through. And while that's cooking, over in a separate pot, I'm going to cook up 12 ounces of angel hair pasta. When that ground beef and sausage is done, I'm just using a paper towel to remove some of that grease. After I get rid of some of that grease, I like to add about 1.5 teaspoons of minced garlic. I stirred that around and let it cook for about a minute or so, just until that garlic becomes fragrant. Not but a second though, because you don't want to burn it. Now we're going to remove this from the heat and head over to the counter. In a large bowl, I'm adding a 16-ounce container of cottage cheese. Ricotta cheese will work fine too. Next, I'm adding in 1 beaten egg. And for the seasonings, you could really add anything you like, but I like to keep it simple, and I just add in 1 packet of the Italian dressing mix. I'm also adding half a cup of shredded Parmesan cheese, along with 1.5 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. Now I'm adding a 24-ounce jar of spaghetti sauce, but you can use your favorite spaghetti sauce here. You're going to give all this a really good stir. And y'all, I almost forgot to add in that meat. Now I'm adding in that ground beef, sausage, and onion mixture. Now I'm giving it one last really good stir. I grabbed my 9x13 baking dish, and I remembered this time to spray it with nonstick spray. Now you can go ahead and add in that 12 ounces of cooked and drained angel hair pasta. You'll just want to spread that out a little bit. Now you're going to top it with that meat sauce. If you want, you can layer this and do half the noodles and then half of that meat sauce, and then repeat that again, another layer of noodles and then the meat sauce. But I just pour it all on top, and then I use my spoon to kind of work that sauce down in there. If you want, you could even mix the noodles and the sauce all together and then add it in. And I topped this with a 1.5 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. Now this goes into the oven to bake at 375 for 35 to 40 minutes. And while that's in the oven, I wanted to make up some quick garlic knots. We love garlic bread with our baked spaghetti, but I was out. I did have a can of biscuits though, so I'm going to show you how to make garlic knots with them. You may have already seen this, but some of you may have not. So I just take a biscuit and I cut it in half, and I roll each half into a long rope. And then you're just going to twist that rope into a knot. These are really so simple to do, and if you find that you need a side and you need something quick, maybe you're out of garlic bread or you're out of bread or rolls, these are a great option because I usually always have a can of biscuits in my refrigerator. After I got them all tied up there, I have about 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and to that I added some garlic salt, garlic powder. I also added some badia complete, some parsley, and grated Parmesan cheese. And you can just season this to the way you think you'll like it. You just don't want to add too much Parmesan cheese because it'll end up being more like a paste rather than easy to spread butter sauce. And I'm just using a little silicone brush to brush that butter sauce onto each of those little biscuit garlic knots. Put these in the oven to bake according to the directions on the back of that canned biscuit dough. Quick timing. The baked spaghetti is out of the oven. It smells amazing. We love baked spaghetti. It's probably one of our favorite dishes. Y'all will have to let me know below, what is your #1 favorite meal? Because maybe it's something that I haven't made before, and that'll help to give me some new ideas. And those garlic knots were so good, and they're super simple to make, but they looked a little on the fancy side. Y'all are definitely going to have to give this recipe a try. You'll love it. This chicken and dumpling casserole has to be one of the kids' favorites. To get started, I'm using a 9x13 baking dish. You'll want to place in 4 tablespoons of butter, and then I'm putting that in the oven. That way it can start to melt. Now I'm going to go ahead and make up the little dumpling mixture to pour on top. In a large measuring cup, I added 1 cup of the Formula L biscuit mix. If you don't have that, you can do 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I also added 1 cup of milk. Now give that a really good whisk and then set it aside. That baking dish out of the oven, that butter was melted, and I sprinkled on about 3 cups of cooked shredded chicken. It's optional, but I just sprinkled over a little bit of nature seasoning. It's just an all-purpose seasoning. Now you're going to drizzle that biscuit mixture we made up just a little bit ago. You're going to drizzle that over the top of that chicken. After you get that on there, we're going to make up one more quick mixture to pour over the top. Use that same measuring cup because I do not want to dirty another dish. Added 2 cups of chicken broth along with 1 can of cream of chicken soup. And cream of celery would be really good in here too. You can go ahead and give that a good whisk. Now you're going to take that chicken broth and cream of chicken soup mixture and pour it evenly on top. And you may be tempted to stir this all together, but don't, trust me. Trust the process. And be very, very careful not to spill this. You're going to place it in a 400-degree oven, uncovered, to bake for 35 to 40 minutes. 35 to 45 minutes. You're just looking for that top to get a little golden brown. And this casserole does look a little liquidy right after you bake it, but if you let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes, it really thickens up. It is so good. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below, and be sure to check out Sammi's channel also, along with the playlist, and I will see you in the next one.